Hello everyone and welcome back. Today in the workshop we have the chalk bark maple. This is actually the first tree I've styled of the new year, so Happy New Year to everyone. What we're going to do with this tree is further along the techniques that I've learned last year. And the major technique that I learned last year is, in order to get really short ramification on this tree, as soon as you see the new node extend, immediately pinch the next growing set of leaves out of the center. What that does is that forces it to stay smaller and more compact. Didn't do that at the very beginning of the year last year, and I got a lot of long extension growth. And if you remember the prior video to this one, what we did is we came back through the tree and removed all of that, and what we left was just the short internodal growth on the tree. Now there were certain few areas of the tree that I could not do that, so I left the long growth, but I'd cut it back. And what basically had happened from there is it did not push a second flush of growth like I thought it might. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut everything back on this tree today to the first node that I see. And one thing I've noticed about this tree is, on a lot of these that have the long extension growth from the beginning of the spring, right down at the base, right where it comes off the branch intersection, there's actually a set of dormant buds there. So a lot of these are going to get cut back to that set of dormant bud. And what will happen, of course, is that's going to create two branches, which is going to further along our ramification. But next year I've really got to be disciplined on getting these centers pinched out as soon as they come. And what I think that does is that tells the auxins that, stop growth on this branch, and it'll keep it from extending, because I had 2 inches of internodal distance on this tree last spring. A lot of it now that's currently on the tree has been reduced to about 1/4 of an inch, and what I had left on the tree was shaded growth. These did continue to extend for the rest of the year, but I did need some of these to extend in certain areas for the ultimate design of the tree. But now that we've got what we need, we're going to go ahead and cut them back as well and get everything back in shape and back in order on this tree. Again, at the base of this thing, it's just riddled with moss. So that's really the first thing I'm going to do, again, is go ahead and clean that moss off so I can see the nabari, make sure I'm still on the same page as far as the design on the tree. If you remember the previous video we shot on the smaller trident maple, what I thought was the front of the tree actually was not, or I found a better front for the tree after I'd removed the moss from the base. Right here on the base of this tree, we did have a root that died back a couple years ago, and it's actually compartmentalized. I think just the top of this root is actually dead, because all the way around the top, and then you can see almost down the sides where the callousing is coming over the root. Not really integrated part of the design of the tree, because I perceive the front of this tree somewhere here. Let's see. Yeah, more than likely it's going to be somewhere in that general scope to that scope. I've got a nice basal flare. I do have some nabari that's buried a little bit deep on this side to prevent that from happening. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, and get everything trimmed back. Wanted you to notice on this particular species of maple, it does, on the majority of the tree, hold its leaves, and those leaves are there to protect the small buds from frost damage. We don't have a whole lot of frost down here, but apparently throughout the course of evolution, this is something this tree has adapted to ensure that its next year's growth will be viable when it's time to push. I'm not going to remove the leaves. I'm just going to cut back to that node. If there is a set of leaves on there, I'm just going to leave them there just to help with that protection. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll see you in a few moments. Okay, we are back. After consideration and looking at the tree and doing what's necessary as far as cutting back the extended growth to the shortest, closest, most compact bud on each branch, this is what we've come up with. Now there are a few that did not get that done to it, and the reason being is because we have to get more growth in certain areas. So I want to allow a little bit of extension growth just to get a little bit fuller area So when I cut it back and ramify it, it'll be of the same scale as what the rest of the tree is. After cleaning the nabari off the tree, or the moss off the nabari, I looked at the nabari for quite some time. The best nabari on the tree is actually in the rear of the tree. However, because it's growing this direction, leaning forward, there's no way I could tilt the tree enough. And I'm not one of those people that likes to make these, take a tree that's growing like this and tilt it clear almost on a 90 or 45 degree axis to try to get it to look the way I want to. I like to work with what I've been given and make the best I can with what I have. The nabari in the front is fine as well. This portion here actually had a little bit of dieback on the surface and it's calcing over very nicely. Pretty much the same thing that's going on over here on this side, so because I've got it here, this is still acceptable to me. The tree is growing in this direction, so we want to kind of make it flow properly. What I've done is wired just a few of the branches that need to be wired. This is where you see the stick here is the front of the tree. That's where I think the best front for the tree on this side is. This dead piece right here, I'm probably just going to carve a euro. This tree kind of reminds me of what I see in my mind. I was reading the book Game of Thrones for something to do during the time that these trees don't have anything that needs to be done to them other than grow, and they have these what's called the God's Wood trees, where it's an ancient tree that has a face carved in it. I always thought that right there would be a nice cool place to carve a face into this tree anyway before I ever read those books. So I'm kind of on the fence on what exactly I want to do here. I may try to carve a little face into it, and then later on, if I don't like it, I can always eliminate it. Preserving it and making it stark white with some lime sulfur would be a kind of a cool contrast because we still have some white. The reason these are called chalk bark, of course, is because in patches on these trees, the bark is almost a stark white, so it would kind of add to the lure and the mystery of the tree. Let's go ahead and do a quick 360 here and put this one back out on the bench and enjoy it for the spring and summer. Like I said, as soon as the buds burst on this tree, immediately I'm going out there with my tweezers and pinching off the second set of growth. That way we eliminate that huge internodial extension on this tree. It was fabulous this winter. It has anything from a dark purple to a buttercup yellow to a really, really like almost a flame reddish orange color. Showed really good fall color. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a video of it, and it was just a matter of about a 3-day window where it was at its peak, and then it just was completely dead with the papery leaves. We'll go ahead and do a quick 360 here, put this one back out on the bench. This is a native species to my area. I do advocate all of you in your area, see if you can find some native species of trees to work with. They're going to react the best to your climate, and a lot of times I've noticed most folks don't do native species. Everybody's caught up in the Japanese maples and the trident maples and this, that, and the other, and this is just something for me that I wanted to do because it is native to the area. And I didn't really see many of them out there. I've only seen a very few. Because of the growth habit, it's going to have to be a large tree, so that's why I chose this particular one to do what I'm doing with it. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your views and your subscriptions. Again, if anybody has any specific questions either on this species of tree or anything else, just feel free to either comment below or you can send me a private message. Thanks for watching.